Howdy, partners. Welcome to the weekly YouTube show where we look at the league through a Lone Star lens. Bam MacMahon with my compadre, Michael C. Wright. Mike, I'm in OKC. You're in San Antonio, but I'll see you tonight in Vegas.
That
Little
is
NBA
correct.
Cup action for the both of us, huh?
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. I mean, we get to see that juggernaut that is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and see if the Spurs can sort of try to slay that dragon. And obviously, the interesting thing is whether or not Victor Wembanyama is gonna play. He's starting the ramp up process.
Mhm.
Played 2-on-2 in New Orleans, I think on Monday. He's already up to 5-on-5, so we'll see if he's ready to go against the Thunder.
Yeah, and let's just start with the Spurs. The fact that they've been playing unbelievable basketball without Wembanyama, or at least stacking wins together. I'm not going to call their trip to New Orleans unbelievable basketball,
Right. It was
but
that
but they
third.
pulled out. But they
Yeah.
pulled out the wins, and look, they just went to LA and spanked the Lakers without Wembanyama. 9-3 now without Wemby, 8-4 with them. I guess what I'm saying is, should they trade Victor Wembanyama?
you know,
Just kidding.
it's funny that last game in LA they had Wembanyama. You were there,
hmm
and they couldn't. The Spurs couldn't pull that game out. I think now if Julian Champagny hits those two free throws at the end, it's a different ball game. That obviously they might have won it, but they weren't able to get it done with Vic the first time, and then they go out there last night and get it done. And it's like I've told you over and over about those guards. Everybody keeps
Mm.
talking about them being redundant, but they all do different things, and they all have their own way that they could absolutely hurt you. You saw De'Aaron Fox. He was able to close that game out. Stephon Castle. I got your text message last night. You said he is a mofo, and he is. I mean,
A motor scooter, as you say.
motor scooter, yes, yes, and then Dylan Harper, rookie. I mean, the guy plays with the savvy and the craftiness of a guy that's been in the league for a couple of years. So those guards are going to be good moving forward for this team. You got to remember too. I want to say that New Orleans game on Monday, that was the first time all three of those guys played together in the same game.
Wow. And yeah, Castle, that's the crazy thing. During this stretch, Castle has missed the vast majority of it as well. Of course, he was the star uh, in LA last night. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you I thought they were going to beat the Lakers in LA to punch their ticket to Vegas. I thought the Lakers would win the game, but I did say, hey, if the Spurs are going to win this, it's going to be because one or two or all three of those guards just go bonkers carving up that Lakers defense off the dribble. And that's exactly what happened. And look, the ceiling is high and will be for a long time because Victor Wembanyama is such a special talent, right? And hopefully he can stay healthy. And we're not even projecting what type of talent he is. Like we have seen it,
Yeah,
and there's a ton of room to grow. That's the ceiling, but it's not just the Wemby show here. There's a lot of talent on this roster. Last time we got together, Mike, we were talking about the possibility of a Giannis trade, and we both said I don't think that they would consider
nah,
putting one of those guards in the deal. Uh, we can be a little bit more firm than that. Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper are going to be playing alongside Victor Wembanyama for a long, long time to come. Uh, I said it might be this generation's version of Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker. Obviously, you've got to do a lot of winning to put yourself in that category. But these guys have a chance to be a really, really special trio for years to come.
for sure. And just with them being, I mean, really to me, the only thing that you really got to think about moving forward and for the future is your wings. But right as of right now, you've got some pretty good ones. They're decent. Like Harrison Barnes. I mean, this dude, like he's almost automatic from the corner. And a lot of times we act like the guy is 40 years old. He's not. I think he's like 32. Like that's
hmm
not young, but it's not very old. It's not super old. It's not out, way outside your prime. Keldon Johnson, that's the glue of this team. And that dude came in hot last night. What did he started out something like 3 of 3 from three? It was crazy. I mean, the guy must really want that llama, must really want that.
Oh, hold on. I haven't heard about the llama. You can't just, what's going on with the llama?
Well, he wants to buy a llama with his winnings. If they win the NBA Cup, he wants to buy him a llama. Like Keldon has a ranch right outside San Antonio, and the guy's got horses, chickens, cows. He's got some there, goats. He actually offered to give me one of his goats. I'm like, no, I'm good, Keldon. I don't need.
Where are you going to put it? Your backyard? I've seen it. Your
Yeah, my
backyard ain't that
backyard's like that
big.
big.
Nice place to barbecue, but ain't no room for goats. You've said, by the way, Julian Champagny, when we're talking about long-term fits at wing,
Yes.
I think they've really found a guy there. And hey, Carter Bryant didn't play last night, but obviously they like him enough to have picked him out of love. And you've said many times Keldon Johnson kind of is the glue of this team. Why is that? What makes him that guy?
Well, he's the energy guy. I mean, it's funny, like every game, like he's drinking like he likes to drink the pre-workout
Mhm.
drinks before a game. And he tells me, he's like, man, Mike, I'm sitting on the bench and I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like he's so hyped. Like, this is how bad it is with Keldon. This dude has ordered an espresso during the game at halftime.
What?
Had one of the
Ordered.
Spurs, I'm not playing, had one of the Spurs people deliver him an espresso because he likes to stay pumped up and ready to go.
Hey,
But that's
hey, Boris
energy.
Diaw used to have an
Espresso
espresso
machine in
machine
the
in his
locker.
locker
Yep.
in San Antonio. They can't find
Yep.
that for him.
No, man, they got one of the equipment guys that goes and gets his order. And so, and as a matter of fact, I'm like, Keldon, that can't be safe, man. Like your heart is gonna explode. No one, Keldon. Keldon screaming to the back of the room, the locker room. Hey, like he's screaming to one of the medical people. Tell Mike, tell them that this stuff is safe or whatever. And the medical people say it's safe. So, you got that, but he's like sort of the center of everything in the locker room. Everybody's talking to him. They gravitate towards him. He keeps everybody laughing. He keeps them loose. In New Orleans the other night, this guy comes out with this big old music box, has it
Like
up
a
like
like an old school boombox?
not the old school because it had it had the Bluetooth or whatever.
Okay.
He puts it right outside the tunnel entrance in the Smoothie King Center. He's got the whole, that whole bottom part of the arena. He's got that whole thing rocking. And I'm just like, you just took over the music at the Smoothie King Center. It just like the whole team is in there sort of dancing and stuff, and they're getting ready to go play. Like it's a football game. Like it's the San Francisco 49ers coming out of the tunnel. It was something like that.
See, now hold on. You can't be doing any San Francisco 49ers. Now
Can't
that
plug my
you are
team.
not a true Texan because you're a 49ers fan.
I
You're a sellout is
rebelled.
what you are. No, what you did is you sold out. But anyways, go on.
No, but like there's that. And then like when he gets in the actual ball game, he's the guy that is throwing his body around. He's gonna put it all out on the line. And again, those things sort of just they when they see Keldon do that, like it makes everybody else go harder.
Hmm.
I don't care what anybody says. Not, he's the heart and soul of that team. And every year, just because of the way his contract
Yeah.
is, we always want to talk about, oh, well, you could trade Keldon. I'm like, man, if you trade him, you are trading away like the glue of your team. And the great thing, I guess, about the Spurs organization is they recognize that in Keldon. And Keldon is a homegrown guy. I mean, he came in
Yeah.
here in 2019, like basically during the pandemic, and he's been with the Spurs ever since.
Yeah. And look, as far as Spurs trades go, I'm not saying they're not going to do something, but I think if they do, it'll be more of an around the margins type of deal.
Exactly.
And what you're seeing with some of these teams, the Spurs included, one, they want to let this group grow up. They made their aggressive move last year to bring in De'Aaron Fox. They want, like, let's see what Wemby can do in the playoffs. Let's see what Dylan Harper can do as a rookie. Stephon Castle as a second year guy, this young core together. And the other thing is, you've got to plan for down the road when this roster will get expensive. Keeping Wembenyama, Castle, and Dylan Harper as your core trios, it's going to be expensive.
Oh yeah,
So
for sure.
you've got to be careful managing your finances. But they've got a chance now. What do you in as far as Wemby for Vegas? How you feeling about that? I know you're not a doctor. I know there's not an
Well,
official injury report yet, but
I'm 50-50 on it. And my belief, and I haven't talked to anybody, but my belief is that Victor really wants to play.
he's got a little rivalry with Chet that goes back to like under 19 France versus USA type of stuff.
Oh, for sure, for sure. But he wants to play. He wants to get in there and help his teammates try to win that 500K. Like I said, they're trying to get David Jones Garcia a new car, and they want to go to the dealership and buy that thing in cash. So, obviously
So,
they can
so
help.
a llama for Keldon Johnson and a car for David Jones Garcia.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. But the thing is, and just the way the schedule sets up, like my thought was that if they went to LA and they lost that game, that would actually set up a more ideal schedule for Victor to come back. Because if they would have lost that game, they wouldn't have played the next one until like 5 days later. So, and you know how it goes when they bring players back from these sort of longer injuries, they usually like to do it at home because you have the infrastructure of your facility and your arena. You have that in place for when a guy comes back from injury. So it's a little harder to do it on the road. But again, Victor Wembanyama, I think, wants to play. And I'm not saying he runs
Hmm.
everything in the organization, but I am saying if Victor Wembanyama says he wants to play, the Spurs are going to seriously think about letting him play. So
Well,
that's why,
and they've been ramping him up. It's not like
yeah,
it's aggressive on the timeline here.
right, right. I mean, he's been out for quite a while, man. And,
Hmm.
like I read something about like, oh, he didn't have anything on that injured calf. He hasn't this entire time.
Yeah.
One day I saw him with a little wrap on it. I think it was the same night that he heard it. After that, he's walked around looking like he's just fine. But again, the Spurs are not willing to take any type of risk, getting a guy hurt that they plan to have around for like the next 20 years if they can.
Right. No doubt. All right. Let's go up I-35 to Dallas, where unfortunately their young center is not coming back this season.
That was a bummer.
Well, and it is a very unfortunate development that Dereck Lively needs another surgery on that right foot. Um, Honestly, it has not been unexpected. That this has been the fear since they had to shut him down in late November. And it was the original opinion that he got, and then he went and got second and third opinions trying to avoid this, but he needs surgery. Huge bummer. Dereck Lively's games played, 55 as a rookie plus the playoffs. Awesome playoff run. Huge part of them going to the finals. So much promise. 36 last year when, quite frankly, they really mismanaged the injury. I still cannot believe that they put him through a full return to play workout before they had diagnosed a stress fracture and thought he was going to play in the next game. Got a strength coach fired, among other things. And it'll be 7 games this year. And, everything in Dallas has got to be viewed through the prism of how do you best build something sustainable and competitive around Cooper Flag. You would love to be able to say, hey, Dereck Lively, really promising young big man, fits the timeline. We've got that guy in place. He's an unknown at this point. Unfortunately, you just can't rely on Lively in the big picture. And he's eligible for an extension this summer. I just can't imagine that being any kind of conversation that the Mavericks can seriously entertain.
I think you got to get him healthy first. That's like first and foremost. And probably that has been the case for the last couple of years. Like, get him healthy, then kind of let the rest of the stuff play out how it plays out. But like you said, that run, that finals run, you were like so much promise.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking this guy is going to be a household name after that finals. Now, let's be honest here, and we keep bringing up his name, but Luka had a lot to do with that. He's rim running, Luka's throwing him lobs. I mean,
He
it was
he
like,
was the perfect fit as a big to play with
yeah,
Luca. That's why I mean, we can't relitigate the Luca trade every single time, but
right.
you've surrounded him with pieces that fit around his game, and when you traded Luka, you diminished Lively's value. You diminished Daniel Gafford's value. I mean, anyways, but yes.
PJ, I mean, yeah, you could go down the line with that.
But especially the bigs in a spring, and that honestly, another thing that's really scary is Lively's game is based so much on being an athletic, mobile,
Of the rim.
springy 7-footer, and so you
Yeah.
talk about that type of player with just these recurring foot problems, knee problems, and there were concerns brought up by the previous medical department about potential health issues with Lively before the draft. Nico Harrison decided not to heed those warnings. But nobody was complaining about him as the Mavericks picking him in the lottery. That pick they tanked to keep in the lottery after his rookie year, and great kid, so much promise. Really hope he can get right. But the unfortunate truth and reality is simply that the Mavericks cannot rely on him being a big piece of the future. You can hope, but you can't count on it. I'll say this though. I don't believe this impacts the Anthony Davis thought process at all. The Mavericks are still going to explore the market for Anthony Davis. Shams mentioned a few teams that have kind of started bubbling as possibilities. Detroit was one of those. Toronto was one of those. Atlanta was the other one. I tell you what, a deal with Atlanta that brings Kristaps Porzingis back to Dallas would have some irony packed in it for
It'd
sure.
be interesting, yeah, for sure.
But those deals. The thing with Anthony Davis is you've got two options, really. I mean, in the reality of the NBA, you've got two options with him. You trade him now and try to get some assets for him. Try to get some draft capital. Maybe you can get a young player who can be part of the future, and try to get some financial flexibility in with expiring contracts to not have a crazy expensive payroll next season. So you can do that, or you can extend him this summer at a max or near max number as he's going into his mid-30s.
Yeah, you ain't doing that.
What should you do as you're building around a teenager? Let me think real hard about this one.
Right. Yeah, you're not doing that. But I will say, if AD keeps playing like he's playing, I think there will be some value there. I mean, when we were at the game, was it Saturday? I think it was Saturday in
Mm-hmm.
Dallas, and I think he dropped 29 on the Spurs.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, I'm the
no,
Rockets.
the Rockets. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm getting all
Listen,
mixed up here.
he stunk it up in OKC. He almost went scoreless. By the way, Chet Holmgren was mad. AD got a bucket with like 8 minutes left. The
Yeah,
Thunder starters were on the bench, and that was his only points of the game. Chet wasn't happy. He wanted AD to go scoreless. So he stunk it up that game. I hate to tell you, a lot of people stinking up against OKC. I mean, it's an absolute juggernaut. It's the best defense in the league by
absolutely.
miles and miles. Aside from that OKC game, AD has looked pretty good since
Yeah,
he's come back. I mean, he's looked like the player that he is, which is a 2010, an easy 2010 guy who makes a massive defensive impact. The question with AD and the concern is going to be durability in dollars for teams that are thinking about trading for him. But it's a little showcase period here, and he's doing his
exactly.
part in terms of saying, I'm still Anthony Davis, essentially. Um, it's one of these things where the Mavs might be a little bit too good for their own good right now. They're creeping up toward that play-in,
Yeah, yeah.
and I don't know if they're going to go from 11-1 2 straight years, but hey, the Mavs. It wouldn't be shocking if they ended up as a 10 seed again. It's not the position that I would say would be in their best interest in terms of the long term, but it wouldn't be shocking to me. But again, I'm not gonna say I'll be shocked if Anthony Davis is on the Mavericks after the deadline, because if the offers are pennies on the dollar, the Mavericks might decide, hey, you know, the other option is to wait this summer and trade him instead of
Yeah.
extending him this summer. So the deadline is it's not like everything just goes to dust after the deadline. You could still have an opportunity to trade him this summer. I will be mildly surprised, though, because I do think there's going to be a bit of a market, but you just have to look at it within reason. And I think you look at what the Phoenix Suns got for Kevin Durant and understand it's going to be a lot closer to that kind of a return, than kind of what we've been trained to consider a superstar bonanza package. I would say than what the Mavericks got for Luka, but they didn't even get the superstar bonanza package for Luka.
No. Well, I mean, that's welcome to life in the apron era, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just kind of what it is. I mean, there's the days of those blockbuster trades. I think those are over. I mean, unless there's Wemby might get that, but they're not trading him. But a player like that has to.
Giannis in his prime, because the issue with KD and part of the issue with AD is it's ages and extension eligibility
and the money.
Where if Milwaukee ends up moving Giannis, that might be one of those where a little bit younger, not early prime, but a little bit younger and locked up long term. So, but those kind of returns will be few and far between, right? Yeah. And let's move over to Houston. We both on the last pod or last show basically said I don't think Houston's going to get it in the Giannis Derby. I don't think Houston's going to do anything to break up that young core. I can say with certainty. I checked with a fellow who's got some juice in Houston. They're not breaking up that core.
No way. Why would you?
Yeah, they're not. And they credit to them. They were able to trade for Kevin Durant and fill that void for a go-to guy without breaking up their young core. I mean, Jalen Green was the second overall pick, but just real honestly, he was like the 6th ranked guy in terms of how they valued the young players on their roster. And Alpi Şengün, Amin Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr., Reed Shepherd, Tari Eason, they're planning on having those guys in Houston for a long time. They're really looking forward to, those guys getting another crack at the playoffs, this time with KD on the roster. So, Houston feels very good about where they are now and even better about the foreseeable future, the next 5, 7, 8 years with these guys on the roster.
Oh, for sure. And then they are also getting they're developing. I mean, they're getting opportunities to sort of find their way. And that's what's been pretty cool about KD. I know that Amin Thompson told you that that's what's really cool about KD is that like he his way of leading is like, hey, the young people gotta, kind of work their way up and develop and do their own thing because you can't play basketball with just putting it all on KD.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the right way to go. And let's also remember at some point they'll get Fred VanVleet back. And I mean, I think he's going to do wonders for their development. I think he is doing wonders behind the scenes. I mean, I know he's always in Amin Thompson's ear, just about what he's seeing, what he could do better. So yeah, that development is there, man. And Alperen Şengün, he's getting so comfortable. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, comfortable in his own skin, comfortable with who he is as a player. I was talking to him, I think, in Phoenix a week or two ago. The man just leans back in the courtside seat, puts his arm around me. I'm like, hey, man. but no, I mean, like that team, that locker room, and we don't talk enough about Jabari Smith Jr.
Yeah.
He's gotten better, man. He's gotten better. And then you look at like some of the pieces, like just sort of the secondary pieces, like Aaron Holiday. We got to give him some props. That dude has been on fire lately. Like he's played some very good basketball for the Rockets. And then you got Reed Shepherd, who is just constantly getting better and better and better. I already
There's
know.
A little, yeah, Reed Shepherd. He's like the stock market where it has gone up. Like his stock has gone up, but it's not a straight line.
Yeah. I mean, like in Dallas, he turned it over like 3 or 4 times in a row there.
It's
And I
funny.
lean back.
I've seen him play the Mavericks twice this year, and he stunk in both those games. I've watched him on TV a lot of times where he played awfully well, but
Right.
the games I've seen, I think those are the only two times I've seen the Rockets live this year so far. I might be mistaken, but
I leaned back though, and I looked, and you looking dead at me like
I know he had Saturday night.
it was bad.
It was, and honestly, Min Thompson had a really bad
He
night
did
too,
too.
committing
Yes.
6 turnovers. And that the biggest flaw that the Rockets have is they are a high turnover team. You know,
Yep.
they commit 16 a game, that's tied for the fifth most in the league. Look, man, Fred VanVleet, when he comes back, which by the way, when I was in Houston earlier this year, they weren't ruling out the possibility he might come back for the
I
playoffs, which seems
know.
very aggressive. But at least next year, Van Vliet solves your turnover problem like that. He's one of
Yep.
the best guys in terms of impact and turnovers in the league. If they do something, maybe there's some kind of little fringe thing for a point guard, but you're not going to get a Fred Van Vliet replacement,
No.
for cheap on the trade market. So I think they're just going to live with a Min and Reed, Aaron Holiday, like you said, playing some of that. And then honestly, like Alpe's essentially runs point in the
Point
half
guard.
court for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And he is, I mean, he's going to, if he keeps playing like he's been playing, he's going to have an all NBA case this year.
Yeah. And I think that was sort of one of the goals for him. You know, I was talking to some people, and they were talking about like all the work he was doing over in Istanbul, Turkey. And I want to say
Wendy would say Turkey A. Go on.
Turkey A. Okay, there you go, Wendy, Turkey A. But I think out of the 48 days that they were there, they did 2 days on 36 of those days.
Yeah.
And the way it was explained to me was that, hey, Alpi comes in and tells us what his goals are. But when you tell us what those goals are, now there is no negotiation. There's no way you're getting out of like putting in the work that you need to put in.
Mm-hmm.
So on the days that Alpi doesn't want to do anything, they're like, hey, didn't you say you want to be this? Well, this is how you get there. And Alpi likes being pushed like that.
Yeah.
I talked to him about it last week. And so when you've got that, and then you've got also Amin Thompson, he's doing that work too. Ben Sullivan likens him to a queen on a chessboard because, you can move him anywhere and he moves in ways that other people can't. And so, and he's getting like tons of development. You know, Amin told me that Ben Sullivan has given him signature moves. And I just didn't have the courage in the moment to say, what are those signature moves, Amin? I mean, just because my mind was going 100 miles an hour. I was thinking about other things. But like when you have a staff that is so like committed to developing those guys, and you have the guys that want to be developed, I think you got something very good that is sustainable for a long time. They're setting a standard in Houston, a culture in, Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet.
Yeah.
They're big parts of that culture.
Yeah.
And, like that's something that's going to last, I think, throughout the entire Ime Udoka tenure. And I don't know how long that's going to be, but I think it's going to be there for a long time.
Yeah, and Dylan Brooks has done wonders for the culture in Phoenix too. And look, a lot of people laughed. I thought it was insane, the deal that the Rockets gave Dylan Brooks when they gave it. I think they paid way above market value at that time. It also ended up being a great investment for Houston because he helped change the culture. You still can feel his impact. Him and VanVleet were the perfect guys to bring in with Ime to kind of get that set that kind of tone and the toughness and the work ethic and those things. And then they were able to move him for Kevin Durant. He was a big part of that deal. So front office for Houston can take a victory lap on that, and they take Dylan back in a heartbeat. Of course, you don't blink when you get a chance to make that trade for Kevin Durant. But again, Durant, that addition gave the Rockets a chance to be, I'm going to say, a challenger right now.
Yeah,
I would say contender, but man, the Thunder are so good, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just it's disgusting how. Like, Thunder's starting five hasn't played a second together yet. They're 24-1 with the best point differential in NBA history. Anyways, so I'm going to say challenger. The Rockets are absolutely in this, in a small little pack of teams in the West that might be able to challenge the Thunder come playoff time. And that's bringing KD in, gives you that chance. Keeping that young core together gives you a long runway where, you're going to have a lot of cracks at it.
Same thing in San Antonio. I mean,
Yep.
you got those young guys, you keep them together for a while. And eventually, I just can't wait until like all the teams that sort of you and I focus on. I mean, yes, we talk about all the Texas teams on this show, but basically, if you're a Western Conference team, not in California, well, Tim and I do that. So, or you and I do that. So, like, when these teams kind of build up to where they're at their peaks, that's going to be fun, man. And Houston and San Antonio are unfortunately a lot closer than Dallas is at this point.
Well, I was going to say Houston's got a runway for a while. San Antonio's got a runway for a while. Dallas has a big piece in Cooper Flag, but they need to find some concrete to pour here. They've got to put some pieces around him, which, by the way, is why the pick for the Mavericks, the one pick they control until 2031, that pick in this year's draft is so critical. And that's why Mavericks are in this rough spot of saying, okay, the Mavericks have been winning lately. Is that good?
In a deep draft. I would imagine your boy who now has a seat at the table again is probably, vocalizing that. He's letting them know.
Oh, yeah. He's lying to people on email. But, yeah, the guy who's paid six figures and fines twice for tanking and either bragging about it or being so obvious that the NBA was like, dude, we got to find you again. He thinks it's a good year to win now, right? By the way, I will remind you, Mark Cuban's seat, there is an ejector button.
That's true.
But he's at the table now. Dumont is, he's part of the that is one other thing I did want to mention on the Mavericks before we go. It is, and Shams reported this as well, it is looking very, very likely that this interim front office structure that they have in place now will be in place through the end of the season. In other words, the co-GMs, Matt Riccardi and Michael Finley, will be running the trade deadline, obviously a critical trade deadline for the Mavericks, with heavy input from Jason Kidd, with input from Mark Cuban, and then Patrick Dumont being the ultimate decision maker. But it looks like that's the structure that's going to be in place as they are navigating a trade deadline where Anthony Davis will be available among other veterans on the roster.
But did you just say that will be in place for the entire season, or just trade deadline?
Probably through the season. It sounds like unless something unforeseen happens, it sounds like the decision on a permanent, president of basketball operations / GM, whatever the title ends up being, won't be made until the offseason.
Well, my thought is if the guys in place, the interim guys in place right now want to do it, why not give them a shot? I'm just saying, I mean, they know the organization. They've been around the Mavericks forever. So,
well, it appears they will have that shot. So
okay. I'm not mad at that.
All right. Yeah, that's the way it's going to roll. All right, we got to get rolling, Mike. I will see you in Vegas soon. We'll have Tim Bontemps there as well, so we will have a full-time babysitter for us.
Let's stay off the strip. We're staying off the strip tonight.
Well, I'm staying off the strip, period. But, yeah, listen, one way to make sure you don't have too good of a time is to have Tim Bontemps with you, and so we'll be just fine.
Tim, I didn't say that.
Shout out to Nate Kraft for producing this thing, keeping us on track, wearing ugly shirts. Mike, I will see you and the Spurs soon in Vegas. I appreciate you folks watching and listening, and see you next week. Adios, amigos. NBA and ESPN.